We're on. Wait, you want to open?
So welcome back to the final day of the FY27 requested budget sessions. Just kind of go through kind of the overall opening of it. These are just requests at this point. Nothing is recommended. Nothing is adopted at this point. So this is really a conversation between the departments and explaining their budget requests to the county administration. The budget at this point is not fully balanced. We don't have yet our final taxable values. We don't know what revenues we would get from that. We also don't have, which we will be getting within the next couple of weeks, the constitutional officers requested budgets. Those will go to the board of county commissioners in June. And then in July 1st, we get the final certification of taxable value for 2027. There are some funds that are not in balance. We've kind of highlighted them along the way. Today, we will be finalizing up all of the departmental requests. And then something new for this year, Joy, that you've added to the mix is we will go over all of the CIP requests, and not necessarily just the 2027 requests. It is a 5-year CIP, so we will review all the CIP requests. Any discussion there? And again, on the CIPs, nothing recommended at this point, nothing adopted. And then finally, we will go through all of the fiscal year 27 position requests with personnel. So that there.
I'll make this quick since no one in the room here other than you guys are here for me. So I'll run through this as quickly as possible. For those of you that don't know, we ran over yesterday, so I got bumped to today.
I'm excited.
But we will make this quick. So Sarah Taylor, Assistant County Administrator and Quasi-Director of Office of Performance and Transparency.
Tom Tibbetts, ERP Systems Architect.
So we'll run through this quickly. Tom and I will share some of the slides, and we just want to kind of remind everybody what our role is. Our budget is relatively flat. We've got some small increase that we'll talk about at the end, but we'll jump into it. Just a reminder of kind of this is a relatively new department for the organization. We're in our 3rd budget cycle, I think, and our goal really is to drive towards efficient and effective operations using data and performance management. So, and then trying to connect our community's priorities with our operations and expenses. So it's very kind of in the nebulous, but we kind of start getting into the weeds when we start talking about our strategic plan and the ERP. Our goals are really to leverage technology and data to measure and enhance the operational performance, and then obviously foster cross-departmental collaboration to address operational needs related to business processes. So truly, we spend most of our time doing this through technology, but most of the department heads in here know that I frequently get into the weeds, or have in the past, with just kind of business operations and workflows and things like that. Tom's team actually then implements them and puts them into our technology and into some of our systems, specifically Workday. So again, the presentation is split into 2 sections. The one piece that we have that's critical and is relatively also new for the county is the strategic plan. So we adopted our countywide first ever strategic plan. For those of you that have been around a long time, like Tom and I, the county last tried to do this in 99 or 2000, and it died on the vine after 2 years of work. So we took a different approach, and in December of 24, we adopted the strategic plan after an extensive community engagement, board engagement, staff engagement. So what we've been doing since then really has, and most of the department heads know, we've been trying to generate initiatives to meet those performance measures and meet our objectives. Then we also implemented a performance management tool, ClearPoint Strategies. So we asked departments to put those initiatives into that system. I have one staff member that supports that, Caitlin Glendenning, who's been amazing and really trying to narrow and hone in on what those initiatives are. And then obviously we are beginning, and in the early stages, I think you guys might be in your 3rd quarter of tracking data and entering that information. Obviously the first time was kind of a first draft, and then we've really refined it. So we're going into, I think, our 3rd or 4th, end of 4th quarter tracking. So since January, we've been working on community dashboards that will illustrate our progress and enhance the transparency to the community so they can start seeing what it is that we're doing. We'll be this summer conducting a community survey to gauge progress. So many of our performance measures need a baseline and a statistic for measurement. So we're going to ask the community how they feel about certain things. So we're under contract with a national company to conduct our community survey. Many of the department heads will be receiving an email very soon asking for them to confirm the content in that. And then also if there's other things, this would be an opportunity for you to engage with the public if there's some general questions related to your operations that we want to add to that. So we'll be combing through those survey questions literally as we speak. We'll be generating our first mid-year report and annual report later this summer and into the fall. Timing will depend on that community survey. So again, because we're now a year and will be a year and a half since adoption, we'll be able to start reporting some of the data that the departments have been tracking. Once we went live with Workday, we're able to use what we call work tags in Workday to start tracking the spending. That will materialize over time. So we are trying to capture a year's worth of data. So, and again, this is new for the organization and it's tedious. So we're not tracking every expense, but there's certain thresholds for that. And so we're working through grabbing a lot of those work tags to be able to report financially, maybe this time next year. And then 2027 and beyond, we'll be reporting target versus actual, and we'll be able to share that financial data. And then we'll have our plan review. And just a reminder, we're doing this all over again in 2029. So then we have our ERP. The county adopted Workday. We'll talk a little bit about the timeline to really just a reminder to everybody to replace our financial management system, which was being sunsetted. In fact, I think this summer was our actual deadline for that. And then we are consolidating many of our purchasing applications. I think you had a couple or at least several. And then we are also implementing the first ever HCM. So we've got 3 agencies in Workday. We cover the supervisor of elections and the clerk of court. So roughly we have 1,800 employees in there, 600 to 700 job titles. I think we're doing thousands of transactions on a monthly basis and 1 million or more business process transactions have occurred since we went live. So it's working, we're under budget, we're on time. And then we're working heavily with the departments to try to navigate the new responsibilities that come along with Workday, the standardized workflows, which have been very challenging, and the new data entry requirements for our staff. As part of the stabilization period, I think is what we're in through this year. That's what we're trying to facilitate, getting the departments what they need, how they need it, recreating reports that they're used to, like in the legacy system that we used to have. And adopting and assimilating kind of the department's operations into those business processes. So we expect that's going to continue. And we're trying to provide outlets and resources and cross-functional team collaboration to solve some of those challenges for the foreseeable year as we continue to stabilize. I think we have the next one.
So we won't go through the full timeline because there's a lot of years there, but the ERP implementation is a 4 to 5 year project. We launched in the 3rd year, so January we launched. We go from implementation to stabilization right off the bat. This is a massive enterprise project that impacts every employee, impacts every department and 3 government agencies. And it modernizes 20 years of infrastructure. So stabilization is a term you'll see here from me often. And that's where we're at, and so we'll go into that. But we stabilize, we configure, we make adjustments. We do heavily into user support and transition. As much as this is a technology project, it is even more about a change project. This implements more change than it does technology. We do establish an operational control and management. We need to operate fluidly and correctly. And so we go from a project implementation or a construction to an operational window and cycles and updates. And then we do have some tasks that are high priority for post-launch developments in order to find efficiencies while we're also stabilizing. So for the next year's budget, we'll continue with that stabilization, but then we also move towards sustainability. That window typically in the market is 12 to 24 months. So that's where we have that projection. We go from sufficiency to proficiency. Sufficiency, we also want efficiency and proficiency. And then again, we are going to have areas that we could not fit within the implementation project where the county wants to implement modern ways of doing things that are proven on the market. So we'll go to the next slide. And there's a couple basic slides here that we're going to go through. Obviously, when you have a management system for all the positions and all the pennies in the county, we could chart you everything we want. But for here, we're going to tell a little story just to introduce it. And so for the ERP launch, I have 3 slides. This first one is showing user adoption. And while the slide looks pretty basic, it is showing a nice steady growth, which is what we want. Again, we're dealing with 1,800 people. And so we want steadiness. We want them to be working. And so you can see as we launched in mid-December, our user logins have been very steady and fairly high. So we know that it's working well. Moving to the next slide. So after user adoption, we go to user transition and support. Support is a big thing in my profession and my approach. And so up top, we have extended 6 different work streams, and in order to make sure that we're providing that higher level support, we are using professional services cases in order to make sure any questions that popped up since January are being handled. And internally, we track all of the user requests. So we have about 1,150 in-house user cases. Now, what I like about this slide, one, we have a team that's completing the cases. So that first chart on the left is pretty basic. They're all being closed out except for the ones that are in progress. The second slide is the one I like the most. And so as we launched in December, you see January spike. We had a lot of user cases. The user cases go down. The last one is mid-month, but we're seeing the user cases go down, so we know that they're getting the support that they need. And then we can do outreach to see which ones don't turn in support cases. But that's a nice, steady stabilization. And then we also analyze them by function and to see where the users struggle the most so that we can provide the most support, or where we have the most change. Security was one. And then for the last slide, business processing. So again, to tell the story of, as we put these together, of just the launch, we see that the county on the first chart, as we added more of the 35 work streams to it, these are business processes. So these are things processing within Workday, business functions. It could be a new hire, it could be a budget transfer, it could be creating a project, it could be invoicing to a project. You see if I get my month count right. So in 4.5 months, we had 1 million business processes initiated. And also what I like about that is the nice steady growth and stable. We're not seeing a drop. And that's a good trend. And that's all we're here to show is the launch trend. So to help understand stabilization. The second slide is where we dive deeper, and it sort of shows more of the power of Workday. In the second slide, we dive into one of those business trends, and it's about invoicing. And we can start to see that on a monthly basis, our invoicing turnaround time is at 1.5 days. And you see, obviously it goes up and down a little, but these are tools to help understand where things are going, or where there may be an area that's struggling, or where something falls behind that we can stay on top of it. So all told, it tells a healthy story of the launch while there is still a lot of stabilization to do. And for us, as we dive into our budget, we talked about requirements and impact of our budget. My mandated requirements come from 10 different departments and their requirements. So whatever their regulatory requirements are from the state, the federal, and the county level, are what has to come into the system for them to operate. So we go through those, and those are the things that'll pop up. And as we go through the audit with the clerk of boards, or we go through the end of year reporting, those are the requirements that we have. If we change our benefits plan, those are the requirements that go onto the system from those departments. We also are the tool for carrying out county policies also. So those are sort of internal, say, mandates at that point, but they are impacts.
They are. I do want to pause here real quick and just talk about the 4 departments, because this relates back to the operations and the departments. Because we are operating within a system, and because these business processes and workflows will follow a prescribed process, we now have to engage with all of our 4 departments as applicable to make sure that whatever the research, whatever the engagement, whatever the solution may be, we have to talk it all the way through. So if there's an accounting change, we then have to flood that back and make sure that it works back with HR, back with MIS, the ERP team. So this is where we talk about that cross collaboration across teams. So someone wants to initiate a resource, there's a policy change in HR. Well, we have to talk about not only making the ERP system follow that policy change, but then HR has to then work through all the other board departments and the users to be able to make sure that we actually operationally can support that. So that is a change for us, because typically in the past, we've been able to kind of initiate change within our departments, and it didn't quite have the structure. You could go and then talk to the user departments, but the system will follow whatever the core department initiates. It will follow whatever that business process is. So then just to highlight a couple things, and feel free to chime in at any point in this, our budget really starting to level out over 26, 25, and 26. So we do have some operational cost savings this year as we move from implementation to stabilization. Some of our stuff, costs move into fixed annual costs like subscription costs. But we have asked for 1 FTE to start working towards our Center of Excellence. We've taken on the oversight of some of our business systems analysts, and then just supporting the 6-member team that we have. We need some level of succession and some level of hierarchy to be able to support that team. So you'll see that request later on today. And then again, because the operating cost has decreased a bit, the goal is to continue to stabilize so that we're not reliant on the contractors and our consultants as the organization starts to gain capacity and expertise as time goes on. Anything else you want to add?
Now, again, you do see that the operating costs go down. However, the personnel and the software contractual subscriptions are set in place. We do anticipate in an operational way that our carry forwards will be reduced this year. So we want to make sure we get a sustainable pattern. So we do expect to actually reduce the costs that way.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say, before we get into the department budget, I would say that since we have all of our, the team members are here, outside of building infrastructure parts, fire stations, roads, this is one singular most important infrastructure that we're building for this organization. And I know it takes 4 or 5 years. We go through bumps, but it's not to understate amount of work that Sarah and Tom and your team have done up to this point, and will continue to have more work to do. It's almost like building this highway for this organization with so many users, and you're rerouting your traffic pattern all the time, almost like having an Ironman every day. So it is very challenging. I understand that, and you guys are doing great. I did ask for arguably midterm, but it's more of in the middle of the process assessment. And that assessment includes sort of the operational challenges that we're still are faced with, our budget variations, so where are we in terms of how we are spending our budgeted allocation for this multi-year project. Really the goal is to be on the same page with everyone, including the implementation team and the user teams, to see culturally, financially, and operationally, we're on the same page. We understand if there is any adjustment that needs to be made, it needs to be made collectively and collaboratively as a team. So I wanted to at least mention that. With that, I want to make sure that budgetarily we are accounting for our assessment, which is going to be done by the third party. I think that is a tool not only for the users, but also for the implementation team, because I think the collaboration sometimes needs a little bit of a third party independent views. And so everybody can use that as a tool moving forward. So with that said, I'll ask Wade to get into the budget of your department.
All right, so the Office of Performance and Transparency is within the general fund. It is one of the general government areas within the general fund. Thank you. And Sarah, in her presentation, had some of this information. I'll just kind of go through it as well. Kind of unusual for an operating department is really that the personnel piece is actually the smallest component of your budget. That is because this is very, software application intensive, and at least at the moment, the consulting intensive with the implementation and stabilization. So just do want to point out that the software component, the multi-year contracts with them. They are considered capital outlay, at least in finances view, so that's kind of the category that they fall under. And then just going down to the line item, there is an increase related to the position request in the personnel side, slight decrease on the operating side, and again, the capital, that's the software component of it, so that's it.
That's it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. I think what I'm gonna do is to move the CIP infrastructure delivery team up, since everybody's here for that. I'm glad that we got you guys to be able to go first, because you were supposed to be yesterday, so at least we can get that tackled. And then once we're done with the CIP, then everybody can go on, do a really important business, and then we can finish with budget office, legal, and all the other tasks. And we also have scheduled our overflow session on Friday. So in case we have departments weren't able to finish today.
Not this Friday.
Oh, next Friday. Yeah, next Friday. For the leadership to this table, and if you're end user departments, because this is a true deliberation. So, and infrastructure delivery team members that are part of the deliberation, you guys are at the right spot. So Jeremy, go back.
Yep, I'll do that. Did not make.
Larry, you want to come up? Before we go.
Always had a.
Larry's here.
Oh, there is one.
I'll have something.
Yeah, like, you're right there.
There's
All right,
I think your point.
second. Are we on? Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna kind of just do a little bit of a opening for this meeting, because it's slightly different than any of the other budget workshop session. This is very first time we actually are televising a meeting that is, we hold this meeting every week. Twice a month, yeah. Every other week, we have a infrastructure delivery team, which is literally everybody around this table, to talk about ongoing critical capital improvement projects, the status of it. If there's any challenges, we can collaborate and solve as a team. Any emergent potential capital needs that needs to be on the table to be discussed, any land we need to acquire, any project that we need to re-steer, any budget we need to cut or increase around this table. But the most important three people are Jamie Locklear, Dan Whitcraft, and Greg Caldwell. They are the leadership and the CIP Oversight Committee, with the chair as Dan, and Jamie and Greg are the co-chair, and they have a process to review all capital improvement projects periodically and control the budget, the scope and timeframe, and unilaterally, without any appeal process to Joy or anybody else. So these are the three people get to decide how well and what we need to do to keep all of our projects on track. But around the table, we also have our land management, our growth management, our transportation, school, utility, missing anybody, budget, what?
Parks and right there.
Parks and Recreation, so I would say library, parks, fire, and animal control, coast management, all of that are, we want you to be on the team, but more, I want to make sure that we are clear about the roles, is that they're on the user end. And so your input is critical in terms of scoping, programming, all of that. So I want to make sure everybody's around the table. We also have Christine, who is, I think, more or less representing, because she manages two departments are combined into one department, but intergovernmental affair manages a lot of grant resource, legislative appropriation. So that's another big component in terms of when we go through CIP projects, there might be opportunities for legislative ask. And so she's critical around this table. Am I missing anybody? Okay, so today we're gonna, as a team, go through all of our CIP projects for 2027. Those are all multi-year projects. Just to be transparent, CIP oversight committee and myself and budget and some other people around this table have already preliminarily went through, gone through all the projects, and then we very preliminarily seek the feedback from our departments, the user, end user departments to understand to the urgency, the priority from their perspective. And I'm really pleased that all the priorities are based on your usage, your data, your understanding and collection of the information from the community in terms of how important or maybe less important these projects are. So Dan, you're gonna probably lead the, or the team was gonna lead the spreadsheet and the project list. But just so if you see cliff notes, footnotes, side notes, those are the information that we kind of put in as a side note as we went through the deliberation. So today we're presenting this to the larger infrastructure delivery team, and it will be probably kind of a phase 2 of aiming towards the end of the final recommendation. I said earlier, we're gonna probably do something to tier these projects. Either we assign them with number like a 1 to 3, or red to pink to red to white. Either way, there's a methodology. We're gonna try to prioritize them, but today is not where we're gonna make a final decision on what we're gonna recommend or not. And I'm confident that there are information that we are not considering today. And that is the purpose of early on, we deliberate these kind of things and make sure end users are here. So we still have about 2 months, a month and a half to finalize the final recommendation. And this is probably one of the largest, the monetarily function or the component of our budget moving forward, and has probably most long-lasting impact. But all of these projects are non-recurring, so they're a one-time, even though they're multi-year projects, non-recurring. So that's the major difference between the department budget request and the CIP. So, so there. Who wants to go first? Okay.
Alright, so just kind of give a quick, just the overview real quick, and then we get into all the different projects. This is the CIP as requested for the next 5 years, kind of by fund. And there's some where there's not a whole lot of detail. Other or impact fee fund, it doesn't necessarily say which impact fee. I do try to provide that on the by project format. So for fiscal year 27, it's about 275 million in projects, more than that actually. Do want to note that there is 126 million in debt proceeds for CIPs, and that is related to the utility department. Their planned borrowing related to infrastructure projects. So with that, we'll get into the projects. They are kind of categorized here by different areas, and we'll go through them. And then you have the project and then kind of the funding source. And as kind of mentioned, this is other. I tried to note out to the right what that other is. So this one is source development category 5 funding. So how do we want to go through the projects? I guess just start at the top.
So are we doing this by categories?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
There is categories here, and I'll say too, like there are some projects that may be a fire rescue project or sheriff's office project where yes, it's their project, kind of managed through either construction services or facilities maintenance. So some of those you'll see kind of categorized under facilities or construction as well.
So maybe, is this the label that you drop down, you'll see what categories are we covering today? So right now we're posted on
Yeah,
page.
sure.
Yeah, so we'll have lots of them.
Yeah. Actually, one second. No, still have them.
Well, I mean, I think that then you have a subcategory too, so I think that that's a manageable list. So let's just go through the categories for the clarity.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have coastal.
Coastal management, and then you have a group of construction services, and as I said, it kind of covers the, components of other areas, similar to facilities. And then fire rescue, land management has one CIP, I believe, well, yeah, two maybe. Parks and recreation, public works, solid waste, and utilities.
Okay, so we'll start with coastal management, that's, these are just by the first initial letters?
Yeah.
What are, okay. All right, coastal management,
Not a whole lot extra maneuvering here. Is Joe here?
Stevens here.
Oh, Steve, okay, yeah. So Steven, you want to go through each project, Joy, just a quick overview, or
let me think about this,
it's a
so.
lot of projects?
Yeah, and I think that would not be manageable if we go into each project to talk about the merits and nature of the project, since we already have gone through that. We can, let's see, so we can go to the total first, for 2027, and what is being requested in 2027.
So again, it should be that 270. 275
Oh,
by
that's,
fund, yeah, so this should be the same.
okay, so but the coastal management,
Oh, just for coastal, I'm sorry. 3.5 million for fiscal year 27.
okay, so, I mean, we will focus on 2027 and,
Okay.
and kind of look at our years, what they look like.
Sure. So for fiscal year 27, it is the primary, the only project requested is related to the beach trolley. This is the project on the Volano South Ponte Vedra area. Am I saying that correctly? And it kind of dual purpose. It helps with transportation in that area when there is limited roadway and parking capacity. And it also, side benefit, it does help with federal reimbursement or cost share related to some of the proposed projects up there.
Is there a way to eliminate the styling, and so we have wider, a taller,
Eliminate what?
the styling part of it, so we can see more project ones on one side?
If I do that, it's gonna
Okay,
get it offline, and I certainly can do that, but it's gonna remove this.
oh, okay.
I'll let you, yeah. See what.
Oh, I don't mean that, I mean like the.
The tool.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How was that?
Better get full screen mode.
Oh, there,
There.
okay, all right, so that's good. So coastal management, we have the St. Augustine Beach Future, which is Army Corps. Stephen, I'm gonna speak for you only because I only know so much, and it's gonna be more condensed and style. So St. Augustine Beach, Army Corps, we don't have any requests, but out years, it's every 5 to 10 years, there's renourishment requirement, and that's general fund largely.
That's towards development.
Towards
Yeah.
development. So there is a 3-5, Cat 5.
Mhm.
It's not appropriate though, so it's more of a candidate for 2029. And then Ponte Vedra, South Ponte Vedra, CSRM, that's the big project we're doing with Army Corps. We're doing the feasibility study right now, and it's close to $90 million in 5 years, but over $30 million in next year, which is completely unfunded at this point.
Yeah, and so this one is under that other category, and right now the other is undetermined for this one. There's gonna be probably a component of multiple funding sources, including potentially an MST or BU.
Yeah, and this is south of Guana and north of Serenata
And it's in the design phase.
in the design phase. There is some very small portion of federal share, but largely that $35 million is gonna be local requirement. And that could potentially be general fund, tourism tax, or local MSTU, which is taxing on our residents. Beach trolley, 3.5, I think from my understand, and this is our previous conversation, for two reasons. One, it does require, the CSR project does require public access. Beach Trolley will provide that to increase the federal share and lower the local share. 3.5 is investment to get return of federal share and contribution. And I think programmatically and from the mobility perspective, it also helps with transportation along the corridor of Fulano to South Ponte Vedra. And potentially the study is going to also cover the mobility to connect to Fulano and City of St. Augustine. So I think that is something that you and Joe is going to present to TDC board in near future.
Yeah, we presented it on Monday
Already? Okay.
to them, and they seemed
Received
very
well.
supportive of it.
Okay, so that is potentially a appropriation 3.5 in 2027, category 5. Did it have any concerns about that? TDC?
Now,
Okay.
they talked about the success that St. Augustine Beach is having with their trolley system. So they seem to like the idea of doing that
Okay.
with Milano as well.
And we have money in category 5.
So category 5, yes, currently has funding, but kind of as you mentioned in the previous project, there is an upcoming large ask. But it does have money for the trolley.
Yeah.
It doesn't have 28 million for the other nourishment projects. So.
Yeah, and because of the uncertainty of the construction dollars availability, I do think that it's wise and prudent to consider the trolley system independent of the construction. And it seems like the coastal management team believes that trolley system potentially is beneficial with or without the project. That's all we ask. So the rest of them are unfunded and they're on the future in the tens of millions of dollars neighborhood, including Purpose Point, Summer Haven, the Summer Haven dredging, armoring, with a total of 43 million.
Future, yes, future, not currently funding identified, so. All right, moving down, we'll get into the facilities management area. And again, this will cover a lot of different operational areas, and just kind of to go over some of the colors here. These are, as Joy mentioned, we've met previously with the user departments, and these are kind of some of the feedback notes of, it was more of a color system at that point. Of there were questions of, can these be deferred, or it can be split out over multiple years, or different things like that.
So just explain the coloring. Red is likely to be deferred on next future years, and pink is slightly deferred. So, but if we have opportunity to tackle, then we will prioritize current year. White is strongly recommended for this year's funding. Is that the only 3 color? I thought there was
It's like
4.
a light, yeah. I don't think it comes across as
Really light pink.
really light pink, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind
50
of.
shades of red.
I mean, if you guys want to start assign values, 1 is the top priority, 2 is that we try to make it to be a priority but may not have enough money, 3 is yes priority but may need to wait, kind of, and 4 is just really, really wait. 5 is. Is that good?
Yeah, I don't know if we need to go 5, but
Okay.
at least 4.
4, okay.
Yeah.
So Bartram Trail Branch renovation is 4, because it's very red. Well, and so let me just kind of talk about, since Jay and Deborah both are here. During our budget workshop, we talked about, because of the 3 libraries are being constructed and bringing online, we recognize the need for expansion for the existing libraries. I think the 2 considerations were given to assign 4 at this point is, 1, that it's uncertain the impact of the new facilities will have on your operation volume of services on those existing facilities. 2, we don't have the money. So, is that good? But I think the timing matters. Once we have these programs and libraries online and fully operational, then I think the team can start to collect data on, are we still over capacity in these existing facilities, with exception of prioritizing roof leaks, things like that, and rather than capacity expansion.
Joy, can I add to that? I think one of the priorities is maintaining our current infrastructure.
Yes. That's
So
great, yeah.
If it's a leak of a roof or other needs, that's going to be prioritized over expansion, right?
That's right. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's the principle we've been talking about around the table, is from the operational perspective, in terms of personnel and human resource, we're prioritizing preserving and protecting our current infrastructure of human resource. And then it comes to CIP, we're preserving and protecting what we have today, with some exception of necessary expansion that has to happen. So do we
Yeah,
want to
so-
move them?
Yeah, I can just talk about facilities here. So the booking renovation phase 2, we're 420,000. So this is a phased program over at the main jail campus. We are currently in phase 1, which is funded. This is for the balance of that project. It is logistically, this project's a little difficult because operations are ongoing while we're in this. It would be ideal if we did not have to carry this out over multiple fiscal years. Again, just for operational purposes, it would be nice to limit this to 2 phases.
So you're recommending to move forward with this project
yeah.
in one phase, 2027?
Yes, and
Okay.
we will be wrapped up with, we currently are in progress with phase 1 as we speak. Butler East walkover, I'm actually going to, Ryan, I'm going to defer to you on this one. It is in facilities, but it's working in conjunction with parks.
So let me jump in real quick. I think we left it a wait because there are some safety concerns with that. Because I do want to, like, on principle, I do want to talk about beach walks, since we have so many, I don't even know how many throughout the county, 42 miles of coastline. I do think it's important to have a comprehensive approach to review these walkover, and sort of create this countywide walkover program, essentially establish a good matrix to decide the replacement and repair schedule based on number 1, priority, number 2, the usage. And also I think the timing is important. If we're really close to a hurricane season, maybe it's time to wait. Maybe FEMA can pay for it if it's destroyed. So I think of those are the considerations. I know, Ryan, you're already doing a lot of that. So those data and matrix are important when it comes to the beach walk.
Yeah, and as we previously discussed, Joy, we are going to, we're going to work with parks to come up with a standardized matrix. So it's not, we're trying to take the subjective nature out of it and move forward that way. The other part that we're looking at is who does the work. If it is something that can be handled in-house, obviously that number comes down. If it is to the point where maybe it is more of a structural condition, most likely we will look to, third party this. But I think right now, coming up with a standardized matrix is probably the top priority. So we can go and we can evaluate these throughout the year, and then we can come up with CapEx money if needed for fiscal years moving forward.
Yeah. What do you recommend process-wise? How do you want to set up this process of a review?
Well, I think, since it falls under parks, I think we work directly with parks. Typically for these crosswalks, it falls under facilities, but working directly with Parks and Recs. So I think that I think we limit it to our two departments to come up with that standardized matrix.
Would that be an annual review process and then
Absolutely.
with adjustments throughout the years?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does that mean we prioritize the review first and then these projects will follow after the review is done?
Speaking from facilities, yes. But again, I'm speaking from the facility standpoint. It would be nice if we're able to maybe table this and we have some more internal conversations. But it would be nice to leave this white. I'm assuming moving forward, we can always change, that.
If there's a different walkover.
There's a
that would be
different
our priority.
walkover that needs to be prioritized.
So do we have any safety concerns, Ms. Butler?
Well, traditionally, it's the two departments come together, they evaluate all the sites. This is not replacing decking or handrails or anything like that. This is looking at the core of the walkover. If both departments go out and rate them independently and kind of bring it together
Okay.
and to say what are the priorities. So these traditionally are the priority ones that you're looking at. The undercarriage of the boardwalk is starting to see the value to it.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's great to rate walkover projects over other walkover projects, but also walkover projects in general is also in competition with other projects throughout the county as well, because they're all general funds unless we have other alternative funding source. In this case, I'm not sure we do. This says other, category 5. Okay,
But and as well, there's other.
that's
competing
also very
projects.
competitive as well. Yeah.
So Joy, are you
Um,
looking for, like, does Butler East currently have a situation where there's a level of undermining that this project can't be deferred until the review is done?
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes.
Do we know that?
That's been the goal of the program. We're currently working through the two departments is to identify the ones that has the undermining that need to be replaced.
Okay. So this is really more of a TBD then, because we don't use that yet.
There's no specific matrix to Dan's point that says, oh, it scored an 84 out of 100.
Yes.
But we're just coming back and identifying the ones that have the undermining that need that replacement.
So this could potentially stay on a bubble as far as we have to do a review for a level of actual analysis to say it's necessary now, or it could be rolled into the mix.
Yeah, to kind of use public works facilities model where they score them. And when it gets to a certain score, you go, yes, it's time to be replaced.
Mhm.
I right now couldn't tell you if these were just the top 3
Right.
or these are at a score that they need to be replaced. So we could go back and evaluate that.
Yeah, Greg, you have something?
I'm just gonna say, this sounds like a countywide beach walkover program.
Yeah.
That you can have a bunch of criteria set up to score this out and come up with an index score for all the walkovers.
Yeah.
Then it can actually lay out a 5-year work program for
Yeah.
everybody
There you go.
to move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Because you
think
can know material type, age, condition, safety reports.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors that you could review.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of look at this, Julia, as similar to Greg's fleet.
Yeah.
model, for
Fleet pavement.
ranking,
Yeah.
yes.
Sidewalks.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yeah.
there's a difference. So there is a different, well, Greg's got a lot of countywide projects, although there are 2 categories. The one category is that you replace them as needed based on criteria. There's another category, you do have a set amount of allocation that, because there's so much, so you want to set aside funds
Yes.
like sidewalk, like your pavement management, because you just know it's gonna have to be done. I think the category this falls into is that we rank them and replace them as needed rather than have a set aside appropriation, only because I think it's a little different than pavement.
Well, there may be a level too where you have a replacement consideration and analysis, but there's also a level of if boards break or something needs to be
Yeah.
addressed, that's a much more smaller, probably operational need.
Yeah.
That may be more appropriate for a set aside allocation
Yeah,
as
like
opposed to a CIP, because we have some boards that need to be replaced.
Right.
There's a level of maintaining it to prolong that life before you're looking at a replacement.
I agree. So this
Yeah,
is
this
kind
the
of
perfect
pink.
format, not to cut you off, the perfect format to bring this to a higher level.
Yeah.
So we can develop this program, for both fiscal year 27 and beyond.
Yeah.
But, to Jamie's point, there are a number of different levels of that. If it is a replacement, typically that falls under us. There is budget in place, operational dollars. But what we want to do is we want to enhance, so we don't want to go back with wood. We want to go back with composite. So we're not having this conversation for the next 15 years. So with this program, it should be developed with the intent that we are deferring this stuff out, 15 years once we make this improvement. We don't want to be talking about the same boardwalk 5 years from
Yeah,
now. So.
agreed.
Agreed, but Mother Nature has a bit to play in that factor, so.
That's always the variable.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I agree.
Can I just interject? I think there's some merit in that for other structures, that's like a big picture kind of approach, because what you're asking us to do for Bartram kind of falls into that same mood. What's that impact, whether it's the usage history or the emergencies are handled right now out of a pot, but going forward, what does that timeline look like? I think what you guys are trying to do could almost be used on a bigger scale for just county facilities in general.
Which, yes, that's a great
We
point.
can't be the only ones outgrowing our space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I
Yeah.
absolutely agree.
So would this be pink TBD on the review process?
I think it should, I do think it should be highlighted so we can, it does stand out that we are developing this program.
What's the color?
Are we doing the colors or the numbers?
Salmon.
We're doing numbers.
Yeah, let's do the number 6.
Yeah.
It's easier to get to than the 2.
Two. All right, so these next two are clerk of the court, civil area renovation and the south entrance enhancement. I would like to go ahead and lower these on the priority list. I think we can make these both 3s.
Okay.
And the reason behind that, we have ongoing projects in the court complex. I would like to look at the opportunity of wrapping these into those projects. So it would take it off this list potentially. If not, we do have other opportunities for funding. We do constitutional contingency for these as well. So again, I think these can actually be lowered on the priority list.
Okay.
So the next two, the HVAC recommissioning. So these both tie in to the county's newly adopted energy management program. So real high level, not to get too granular into the recommissioning, but a lot of our buildings have been repurposed. So we have deviated from the original basis of design for our buildings, so they're not as efficient as they once were. Just quick example, we will take an open space and we'll add a conference room. So the CFMs that for the air conditioning are now nowhere near what it was the original basis of design. So we would come in and we would do a recommissioning through a third party, basically do a test and balance and get them back to original, either doing it through building automation, which we control. It could be some mechanical upgrades, but this is not a one-time project. We have obviously a number of facilities. We would pick what we track as the buildings that have the biggest efficiency. And we would go ahead and address those buildings. And that's why we're taking this out over 4 years. Again, there is a return on investment for this. This is obviously what we look for. We're a cost center. We don't generate any revenue. So our main purpose is to reduce our operational cost to the county. This helps with that, along with the LED lighting conversion. Right now, you can see all this particular room. This is what we need to get to. So we have a number of buildings that are still on fluorescent lighting. which is efficient, but nowhere near as efficient as LED. All new projects coming online are all spec'd and scoped with LED. We are in the process of retrofitting and concentrating on our big box. This would be considered one of those buildings. Again, it's a reduction in energy consumption. So FP&L continues to climb. Our job is to mitigate that additional cost. These two items, the recommissioning and the LED upgrade, attacks that. The lighting is considered low-hanging fruit. And so we will continue to look internally to our operating budget. This just helps fast track, which is why we're looking 3 years out. We have upwards of 400 buildings. So
this is very much protection, preservation, category. that
it
we
is cost
prioritize.
mitigation moving forward. Yes. So again, we're looking at items that are a quick ROI to the county. This provides that.
So ranking one and one.
Yes.
Anybody speak up if you feel like a different number needs to be assigned, but you have to give justification.
It's like a 0 to me. Because it's higher than 1.
Bigger this hard.
So that means the 2026, we have a budget, so we can borrow.
Even he said ROI, it's a number 1.
Very good. Very good.
All right.
The next one, Joy, is just another
Walk over.
walkover, so it's made it the same for now, then we'll continue that discussion.
Why is that two? The other one's three.
The other one was 2.
Oh, the other one's two. Okay.
So the next one is the DT room renovation. This is the defensive tactics. Larry is here. This falls under the sheriff's complex, but kind of high level. We are in the process working with construction services to build the new training building, which is a standalone building. Once that building is built, we will move this programming or this operation out of the ECTC center down to that building, which will free up roughly 10,000.
Yeah.
Roughly 10,000 square feet in the training center, which will be then repurposed for more of an administrative space. 400,000 is what we anticipate. We do think that we're going to do a lot of that work in-house. So I'm confident that we can both stay within this budget and hopefully come in under this number.
And this is the reconfiguration of the existing training
Yes,
center?
ma'am. It's tied closely to the new administration. You know,
Yeah.
we did the needs assessment. It came back that we needed like 120,000 square feet. We knew that we couldn't go to the commission and get that money. So we were creative and like moving chess pieces and like, if we do this or build this metal building at lower square, cost per square feet, we can still achieve all that. So moving some of those training operations out of that, a training center or comm center, it allows us to put other offices in there that we wouldn't have to build in a building and at a high cost. And so this is a very low cost per square foot. It's like, very creative way to make something happen.
It is. And again, Joy, this is something that we would act as the general contractor on. And so, I am confident that we can, similar to what we're doing at the old permit center, we would treat this the same way. So,
and I assume that the new training facility of 10,000 square feet is also budgeted because that's the
It
domino,
is,
right?
yes.
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, at the end of the day, when we do all these little pieces, I think we're going to be whole to the original needs assessment. And I think we're good, for the near future.
And I do think, the county has done a great job of being creative and getting to that more, a fraction of what the original, we've had the third-party studies done, and I think the county
You
had.
guys. Okay.
So
So that's a what? What's the number?
400.
No,
Oh,
priority.
one, because it's tied directly to the administration. That in order for the sheriff to move his administrative staff, we have to time it with the administration bill that we're about to build.
And that has to be 2027.
Yes.
yeah, the thought is, Joy, that the new training building, the timeline will be done prior to the new administrative building. And so we will relocate that, and then we will, again, that domino effect, as we see with a number of our projects.
Okay.
You know, one thing has to happen for the next.
Okay.
And that new training building is set to be advertised very soon for a bid.
Yeah, we're putting it together now.
Yeah, first, looking at July, August, and working there.
So is it a different building that we said, oh, we'll probably get to it, that we're gonna delay to 2028?
Yes.
That's a different one.
Yeah. So the next one is the main library. So about 3-4 months ago, we did the tours of facilities in the library system. We toured basically all of what we consider the priority sites for future needs. So this kind of follows somewhat in that same category. And the main library was part of that priority list. Obviously, we don't have the ability to expand our footprint. We are on city. It's, located within the city. But we do have the luxury, the advantage of it being tall. So this was just for design to potentially add a second floor in a part of the library. So again, we would defer to Deborah's group as far as what that programming of that new space would look like. Our function would be basically to add that second floor to create additional usable square footage that does not currently exist. I know this is red. So I think our initial conversations were, again, we were going to do more evaluation once the new facilities came online, and then we would revisit this.
Okay. So that would be.
This next one, Joy, it was in here as a CIP. It's really not a CIP. It is furniture. There's a little bit of a high cost to it, but it really should be part of their operational request. It's in the budget. It's in their budget. So, yeah, we can just.
So duplicated?
It's not duplicated. It's just in the budget as a CIP, and it really is an operational
Okay.
type of request, so.
So is it really just about moving it to operational as opposed to considering it as CIP?
Right. Yeah, I think we were just trying to capture.
Yeah.
this.
After
That's
that.
really what it means. Yeah.
I mean, this is furniture for what?
The HHS building.
Oh, I remember now. It's
Yeah.
that rehab program. Now they
it's the
conference
room.
room.
Conference
That's what
Yes.
this- yeah.
It's been a flex space for a number of years, and now I think actually Shauna wants to make an actual. conference room. Yes. So the next is the Genetech conversion. So just real quick, Genetech is access control. We currently are on a system called Apollo. It's a bit antiquated. This is part of the county's security upgrades. The sheriff's department is already on Genetech. It integrates with their technology out at their training center. We need to get there. So we are currently in the process of converting the courthouse over to Genetech. And we will be presenting to the board moving forward to standardize Genetech moving forward. So it is in all new designs. The 700,000 is really earmarked, as you can see, for admin and HHS. And again, it integrates with our security gates. That will be, we have new gates coming here for admin. They'll integrate with the gates that are being converted over at the court complex. So again, this gives law enforcement the ability to monitor our buildings real time.
And access.
And access. So if we have, God forbid, an active shooter, they're able to hit a button remotely to either lock down individual doors, the entire building, unlock doors, or escape. So again, it takes us from here to here.
Okay.
So that's what the Genetech conversion is. Can it be spread out over 2 years? Yeah, that's really part of this conversation. But again, I think if we're making security a priority, then this is part of it. I think Neil's new 207 plant is coming up on Genetech as well.
Okay.
So this will be the system moving forward.
Yeah, things don't get cheaper in age. So I would say it's a great investment for public safety, for us specifically. Like if there is unfortunately a critical incident that happens anywhere in this county, we have access to take control of it and have that competitive edge to mitigate any kind of, casualties or, it's a bad incident. So I don't see how we can phase this, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's a significant upgrade to the county, St. Johns County's public safety, like we've never seen. I'm serious when I say that.
The next one is the vent piping over at HHS. So we have options on this particular one. So we have been phasing this replacement just so for the group. This is more of a latent defect to this building. This building, the HHS, is only 11 years old. They used inferior cast iron vent piping, and basically it has eaten itself through the gases. It's disintegrating. And so you can imagine at times, I'm sure folks have been in there, the smell has not been great.
Oh, that's what that is.
That's what that is, yes. So we have done a lot moving forward already. We will continue to do a lot through preservation money to do this. Basically, the 250,000 puts this to bed. So again, we can continue to fund it in smaller phases, or we can go ahead and put this to bed now.
Shawna says one, probably. To say 0.
She does, and it would be hard to,
Yeah, I think that needs to be fixed.
yes. So the next one is the medical examiner, the X-ray machine. So this is not, I'm sure most of you are aware, we are working with construction services to do the expansion, roughly 6,000 square feet. Because of the cost of this machine, we did not include it in the project because we did have a set budget to try to hit a scope. So we put this in as a separate request. I think Dr. Sneed actually, during her presentation, brought toys. She brought toys with her to kind of talk about how her current process is. So this is to fund that X-ray machine. We are actually meeting with her next week, along with procurement. Even though this is not funded, we are trying to get ahead. This is a long lead item. We are trying to get the submittals and the scope to give to both the CMAR and the designer because we do need to put the infrastructure within her expansion to make sure when we get this machine, that it's, we have everything in place. All infrastructure is in place. So
We
again,
had a pink, but George was very persuasive.
Well, I think it was more pink because there was another request. I don't think it was necessarily related to the X-ray. There was another request for an additional funding for the facility, the expansion and renovation of the current space. So I think it was kind of
yeah, I don't,
misguided pink on this one, I
yeah.
guess.
Mhm.
So again, I don't,
Funding options.
I don't know how we do this expansion without upgrading the X-ray with that. I think what she has is incredibly antiquated. And so I
And
think,
there's safety concerns for the staff too.
and absolutely, yeah.
Well, and if you don't factor it in now and you build the building with the expansion, you're gonna have to tear apart whatever if you don't build the infrastructure into it now. So if you change later, it's gonna be more impactful.
Yeah, so what?
The next one, the shade structure, this one can actually be removed. Since we, yeah, I really don't need to. We have found a way to fund this
Nice.
now. So the PAL building in West Augustine, we have reallocated some funds to this already to go ahead and get started. This is to relocate the library's bookmobile division over to the West Augustine. Does a number of things. They are currently located in the southeast part of the county. They travel, I'm assuming, all the way to the northwest part of the county. So this is a actual operational cost reduction for them. This centralizes their location. Also, with the moving out of the Hastings facility, I think Deborah's group is looking for a place to have more of a centralized book collection that they can pull from. This allows for that as well. Plus, it does give us a library presence in the West Augustine area, which I do think is an important community part of this. So, I mean, this number here can be reduced.
Okay.
I think we can knock off at least 50,000 of this number. Because we have been able to reallocate some funds already to get this moving.
Okay,
So,
but it's a one.
and again, this is being handled in-house, so it does give us the ability to do some of these things for a reduced cost.
Yeah, and I think the West Augustine community is also excited to have a location where there's co-programming. So I think that needs to be done as a priority.
Okay. Yep. The pet center addition and enhancement. So this was kind of twofold. This one is to Paul State.
I'm right behind you.
Yeah.
Right behind you where it need to be.
Very. Yes. So twofold. Paul's officers, I think, are working out of their trucks.
That's correct.
Yes, and so part of this funding would be to build a standalone, obviously adjacent to their current location out there, but it would be a standalone building for the officers to get out of their trucks. I think another part of this, so we may want to break this up into two, is to add additional kennels. You want to talk a little bit more about
Are
that?
they mutually exclusive projects? It's not a.
Is that one?
Well, I think the number can actually be reduced if we did break it up into two and prioritize them.
What's the difference in cost of the two projects?
The majority of it would be in the building for
The office.
the offices, yes.
And currently, we don't really have an isolation space for new canines that come in. And so they're being placed with potentially adoptable dogs with the potential of infecting other animals. So our thoughts is to get this isolation area And that's 40 kennels, and that gives us the opportunity to properly isolate a stray animal before moving it to adoption.
Okay, and that's not the expansion, I think, or remember that there was another project talking about expanding the space for kennels. Is that a different project?
I think ended up being duplication of
It
the
was.
kennels.
It was
Yeah,
duplication.
So we removed that. at
Oh, so
the
it
other
was not
one.
expansion, it was just isolation.
Correct. Yeah, initially this was supposed to be 3 separate kennels,
Okay,
and 20 years ago, and it ended up being one giant kennel. So in the process now, we've tried to divide and conquer, but it's a shared air system.
Yeah.
So in a shared drain system, and because of that, you're potentially just sending disease by each kennel. So we want to
incident in the past for contamination?
We have, and that's where we came up with the divider wall to try to control that to some aspect of it.
Okay, so the office, I think for me, at least it's a priority because that's making sure that our staff has a place to work. Contamination, I don't know the difference in the cost, the increment of it. What is that?
Yeah,
To be honest with you, I'd have to probably go back and give you
Okay.
that.
Would you, Paul, would you prioritize that way or you?
I would try towards, yeah, because we have 9 officers
Yeah.
and no location for them to sync up and do paperwork if needed. They literally are working out of their vehicles.
Okay,
And it would be a nice area to just meet with residents. We're doing 700 bite cases a year. This is an opportunity to bring victims in and owners to discuss those things and not in our lobby.
sure, yeah.
So
So,
you mentioned splitting it. Do you have an idea of how you would split it if you went 27, 28?
Yeah, and again, to me, the priority would be the staff. And yeah, so it would be what that number is. I don't know. But
Yeah,
it could be,
so- yeah, so
a 27, 28 thing.
so the note office 27, but potentially increment for the kennel divider 28, depends on availability of the funds, potentially 27.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a 1 and then 1.5. 2 things in there.
The Ponte Vedra circulation desk. So this, and Deborah, by all means, chime in. This was part of the funding. That's why if we pushed it out to the future, we reallocated this to the PAL building, which was kind of the kickstart to getting that renovation going.
Okay.
I know the 50,000 has been there a couple fiscal years. So we did look at it as an opportunity to reprioritize those funds to something that we can make an immediate impact, and then we can revisit. And there may be other opportunities to do something. Again, we have preservation money if we are looking to replace or enhance an existing asset, which the circulation potentially could be. There may be a way for us to fund that differently.
Okay.
So the next 2, and I will be the first to, I have probably convoluted this because we have had many conversations. So the 1.5 and 1.5, we currently have 600,000 allocated or appropriated this current fiscal year to what will be the new training building and the tactical vehicle building that we are relocating vehicles from the jail complex out to the training center. So there's 600,000 currently allocated this year, and 1.5 and 1.5, we have talked about funding the whole thing this year. So we would have the 3.6 million for those 2 buildings. Potentially 2 buildings. One has a priority over the other. The 3 million there's going to be a total of 4 buildings. The 3 million for phases 2 and 3 are basically buildings 3 and 4. We have talked about potentially moving those out at least one fiscal year and see what we call, which is the 3.6 million. So again, priority is the new training building. Hopefully we get the vehicle building within that 3.6. And then we will reevaluate buildings 3 and 4.
Okay.
So would we look at going ahead and deferring the phase 2 and 3 to FY 28?
That
So
would
it's
be-
not in competition for 27?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I talked to Sheriff about it, so we're deferring 28 potentially and see where we are in 28. This will be 2, yeah.
And this does fall within the long-term plan out to almost fiscal year 30
Yeah.
is what the initial plan was. Hopefully the numbers come in favorably and we are able to, maybe shave off a fiscal year, but we'll know a lot more after we get the numbers back on the first phase 1 and phase 2.
Yeah, and similarly, like library, sheriff will have the team moving to the new admin building and the training will be relocated and reconfigured in the old training building, so we'll know better where everybody is.
Keep in mind, we will have the old jail
Yeah.
coming online as well.
Well, you're thinking.
Yes,
Yeah.
so
There's a lot
again,
of
there's,
Yeah.
and meeting that goal of usable square footage, we are on track.
Yeah, and the operation building where we store our vehicles will relocate one from here at Central, which we give supervisor election parking in the back. So there's
Right.
a lot of things going on.
Yeah, and we talked about yesterday, MIS doesn't know if they're moving or not moving, so that's part of that mix too.
What was it?
MIS,
Wiley.
Yeah, currently not moving. Yes, so,
I wish I knew it then, he'd be so
Yeah.
happy.
so,
Not that one.
yeah, we'll
All
try. to
right,
keep one.
so,
But we are very grateful to the staff and the Board of County Commissioners and everybody on your team. Like, we've achieved more under this administration than we did in 200 years, and that's no joke. And we're setting up the future for public safety, and we've done our job as a team preparing everybody for that. So thank y'all.
thank you guys, and thank you to the team. I know Greg and Dan are out there actively moving all the
Yeah.
weapons, separating from your bullets and all the things that we weren't supposed to be doing.
It's been it's been an honor to be associated with this group, and I'm very grateful.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
All right, tax collector.
Yeah,
That's a future year.
yeah,
Okay,
yes.
all right, next, fire.
Yes, and this one, I'll just kind of know it was read. I think that the discussion there was, they currently spread it out over 2 years. Is there potential to spread it out even further? So
Is that related to the monitors? The monitor
the AD, yes.
Yeah, we certainly can. I think it is one of the projects that is going to happen eventually. There also may be some opportunities there to pursue some grant funding that just became available. So we are looking at that internally as an option that could get that funded a little quicker.
And this is not the defibrillator around the public facility,
No.
right? Okay, because we have also that we need to fix.
And,
Yes.
yeah, and so that is a kind of a bigger conversation that the critical incident team
Mhm.
has kind of incorporated into that forum as well. So that we have some opportunities there to enhance that process.
I did, on a slightly separate topic, I don't know, Jesse's not here. I did recommend a critical incident committee, whatever recommendation they come out, I think it needs to reside with facility management. I think it has a lot to do with the facility upgrade, facility, safety system that you're doing, with the collaboration, of course, with the team.
Yeah, so,
I think this one probably can be the one, just, yeah, the funding may change, but the priority is there.
How long can we phase that out? 4 years?
Maybe be over a period of years. If you're dealing with technology that's aging each year, new technology coming online, the current equipment, some of them are roughly 15 to 17 years old. So you're gonna have to start replacing some, but we can replace them in phases versus having to do all of them at one time.
Okay,
So that would be the intent.
that would be helpful. Thanks. Our training facility. 300,000.
Yeah, and I want to make sure, Jeremy, we reflected this correctly, because there were two CIPs on this, kind of duplicate. This is, we have 7.5 million currently in the grant. There was an initial request was 15 million.
Yeah.
We only received grant funding for 7.5, so is this the remainder of it? And was the request just 300,000 or 427, or should have been more? I want to make sure I get that right.
It's put in as the.
Another 7.
Another 7.5.
Okay.
Yes,
To get us to the full 15.
yes.
427, that was the
Yes.
request?
Short answer is yes.
Okay.
What does this 300,000 do?
I'm not quite sure where this
We'll have to
number
clean
is.
this one up.
Is it just a placeholder?
No, I think there was probably some level of design component to it. It's the only thing I can think of. I think
We're
when
gonna
we,
go with the first thing.
yeah, when we,
Yes, but we're in the master planning.
of all of it.
Of all of it right
Yeah.
now, and it
Be done
really was a
phases.
continuation of where we land with the first 7.5 to just continue with the future phases moving forward.
Okay. So future 12.5, that's higher than 7.5.
Yeah. Yeah, again, and the numbers don't align.
I think when we kind of consolidated the two into one, I think something got misaligned.
Yeah,
here.
so
I
if-
didn't notice it until.
Yeah, so for 27, the ask was 7.5 and future would go away.
Okay,
So-
27, we're gonna ask for another 7.5?
That was the initial ask, was 7.5 additional, which would get us to that 15 million, which was the original request.
7.5 in fire district?
That's something we would have to look at if there is funding there for full 7.5. And I guess you're designing it now to be done in phases. Can it, with a known funding of 7.5,
Correct.
can the remainder be done in multiple phases as well? Could it be broken up
That's-
further, I guess? And I don't know what their priority
We're
is.
planning it right now, so all the components of the entire training facility will be identified on the site. We'll go ahead and say $7.5 million gets us to this point in the process. We know it won't give us everything.
Right.
And then we could always do additional buildings in the future because we're laying it out, so it can be expansions.
Well, and part of that master planning is for them to tell us the best way to phase it, to maximize their operational use of it, as well as factor in the funding needs as they come along. So that's part of that master planning exercise that we're doing with KMF right now.
Okay.
And they've already prioritized their needs up front, so we gotta make sure that training gets done first.
Yeah.
When will we know the timing of all different components and phasing of it?
I'd have to go back and look and see when.
Probably the next couple of months, we'll
Yeah.
know by the end of this fiscal year.
Mm.
Okay, and then how quickly do we have to have funding in place for construction?
Keep in mind, we part of that 7.5 will get us going on construction.
Right.
Initial phase.
And as we get further into the master planning, we will have that opinion of cost.
Okay.
Again, it's an opinion and it will get us to a certain point. The additional funding is for, as Greg mentioned, those subsequent buildings based on the priority list that has been put in place by fire rescue.
And right now, based on what we've done, we're only at like 300,000 for the master planning and looking at how we're really gonna put the project together over time.
Okay,
So there's available funding in the initial 7.5 to move through more of that design and even go possibly into some of that site
Yeah.
work. That would be kind of
Yeah.
the first step.
Yeah.
And then it would lay out what those other components are and how they would come on.
okay. So I mean, I think that this is critical to know the timing of the additional 7.5 for in fire districts, because it's got a lot of pressure in there. And also, we are planning this year is the year we're gonna start to build the fire emergency reserve as well, with potentially 2 to 3 set aside. So it depends on if we can even afford it for 7.5 in 1 year. It may have to be 27, 28.
Absolutely.
Well, and wasn't
And it
there?
could be a program approach where you're build this building this year, this building next year. You
Yeah.
could probably lay it out in multiple years into the future.
Could it be bid with alternates as well to know what the other components?
Well, we kind of have maximum flexibility with the different components. I mean,
Yeah.
depending on how we kind of structure it to kind of put it together in phases. We've got contracts that we can utilize. It doesn't necessarily have to be an all or nothing package that we bid out.
Well, there's also the pressure of bringing this online for your training, not necessarily the communication center or the water training facility, all of that, because your Sims pit right now is not really operating, so you don't have a place to train.
I think the goal would be the initial 7.5 that the grant funded, that we feel very confident. I think at this stage, that's going to get us to the point where we can operate
Oh,
a
good,
training
okay.
center. So we'll be able to
The
achieve
additional
that.
7.5 can be 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
And then the next phases would be all of those other components that would fill out.
And we're still good with the timeline of the grant, right? No issues there. Okay.
Okay. And we'll continue to put in more requests to hopefully to get additional funding from the state.
Correct.
So that would be additional, I don't know that 300,000, but I don't know, I don't think that's needed there, but 7.5 is 2.
7.5 somewhere else, didn't we?
No, there were 2 projects.
There were 2 projects, yeah, and we collapsed them into one and obviously misrepresented the collapse. So
So essentially,
I'll
300
take
is
that.
scrapped because
Yes,
with the 7.5 would be the initial.
yes.
And there's the level of legislative appropriation that's in consideration.
Okay, next.
All right, so this one is kind of their just ambulance replacement. It's kind of a recurring thing.
This is just obviously our replacement schedule for ambulances. Our goal is to try to have 2 per year as we're going through and putting mileage and repair costs and the trucks are going in and out of service. We try to keep that schedule going just so we don't get behind and dealing with the out times and the out process of getting a truck ordered, built, and in service.
Okay, so do we have 2 vehicles that have to be replaced 2027?
There will be 2 vehicles that will be replaced in 2027. Yes, ma'am. They'll go to reserves.
These would be in ambulances, the fire.
General fund?
Yeah, general fund it is.
Can it be 1?
Well, we did 1 last year, and so that's kind of put us in a little bit of a bind this year in needing to get back on that schedule of 2. Last year, we were able to replace 1 ambulance and go with a tanker because we were increasing the tanker fleet for ISO perspectives. This year, we really need to get back on that too. Again, we're just putting so many miles on these trucks.
What's
And
the
we
time
need-
frame, Jeremy?
For
When we fund it, what's the time?
Yeah,
frame
how
of
long
getting the
now?
ambulance?
to actually get the truck
Yeah.
here.
PO to
I mean,
delivery.
That's a consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the
Yeah.
timeframe. Yeah. Sure.
I guess we don't have a choice.
Yeah. Okay, pole barn.
All right, so this one is the pole barn that has had, and Greg Baume's chimed in as well, the additions added to it. So this is over at Fire Admin. It is for part of their fleet operations over there. I will say that we've been able to with phase 2, is it phase 2? Right.
Right now,
Yeah.
going right now.
So we were able to, Greg's crew was able to bring that in under budget. So this was an open pole barn. We were able to go ahead and fully enclose it. And so, which is a huge upgrade for these folks. This ask here it goes along with some of, what we're doing with Larry's space, adding office space to that pole barn that will allow the relocation of staff that is in the administration building to relocate into this area this is where they actually work, is in the fleet. So again, it's adding square footage for really a low cost. I know 625,000 is a lot of money, but again, they're pre-engineered metal buildings, which are a lower cost for us to erect. So again, it's adding square footage and trying to meet a need.
Where are they working right now?
They Jimmy, you can,
They essentially don't have workspace.
they're in base.
They're working in the
Complete
apparatus
base.
base.
Yes.
Mechanics,
They're in the vehicles?
they do work out of their vehicles, but that's when they're out in the field. When they're actually in our headquarters facility, they don't really have any space to work other than within the apparatus base. This will just give them a centralized place to do the other portions of the job other than the actual mechanic work.
Okay.
We simply just don't have any space at fire headquarters at the moment. There are zero available office spaces or workspaces at the moment.
Okay. Why is it red? Did we say it was not priority?
Well, I think it's part of the previous conversation is that the pole barn has had multiple phases. And so I think that was kind of the initial, but again, this is not necessarily the pole barn. This is more of adding additional administrative space, and really and truly creating, again, similar to what we're doing with other locations, is looking for ways to add square footage at a reduced cost.
So this is adding admin space to the pole barn we're working on now?
Yes.
Internally.
Okay, so this is a building out the space within the pole barn we're already doing. This isn't another pole barn.
This is not another pole barn. Yeah, let me make that clear. We're hopefully we're done adding to the actual pole barn. We are adding administrative space adjacent to the pole barn.
Is this all the modifications we can do to the pole barn, or can we come up with more?
We're done with it.
Maximizing it as much as possible.
Is that a challenge?
So again, I do think it's a creative way for us to add space, square footage, again, at a reduced cost.
Okay, well, that's fire district again. Well, what's the priority?
What happens if you don't get it?
I mean, they would continue operating as they are now.
Are they okay with that?
Working on, I mean, I think they might prefer a place that was cooler in the summertime. But,
Yeah.
So what's the priority?
2.
2, okay.
Similar to the ambulance replacement, there is engine replacement as well. I don't think, Jeremy, you'd have to go into how many or what type.
It's similar across the ambulance, just the ambulance, but the engine replacement program, we typically try to do 2 a year. If we stay on that schedule, it's just proven that we're able to stay ahead of repairs, maintenance, and the ordering process that is pretty significant, especially related to fire trucks. Similar to ambulance, the one thing I think is remembering is they're not getting rid of them as they replace them. They're going into the spare fleet, which is, with the amount of times we have trucks going in and out of service, it's significant to have a spare fleet that is available and ready to move our personnel into. So it's definitely, these trucks stay in service for 20 to 25 years in that spare fleet.
Wade, if you look down there, Flagler State, Silverleaf and Beach Walker underneath there.
Yes.
Because, no, I'm sorry, on to the next one. Sorry.
Let's move up. Let's
So-
move up all the way so we can see. the
Oh,
rest of
yeah.
it.
My mouse. There we
Okay, so we have a hard stop at 10:30. What are we gonna do with the rest of, facility's got a lot. We'll just go as many as we can and we'll figure it out at the end. Okay.
All right, so just kind of the replacement schedule, that's within the fire district because they are replacement, they're not anything new, so the impact fees can't be used. And I think as Greg was kind of moving towards these are the new apparatus for the new stations. And this, there is some current funding component to this. This is, I think, just more of the equipment related to it. Is that
That's correct.
correct? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And those apparatus and the equipment can be funded out of the impact fee fund because they are related to the growth and expansion.
Okay.
River Response Vessel, this has been requested in the past. It's a future funded at this time.
Correct.
And that's the part of your marine rescue.
That would be an updated or a new vessel for the ocean intercoastal response.
Okay.
Again, our perspective on that is it can defer to future years. There's some more planning that needs to be done around that project.
Okay. This is the second phase of the Motorola radio update project. The board's approved phase 1. There was a funding component in October for phase 2. And I will tell you, we are looking at alternative funding related to, rather than the general fund, I think maybe possibly working with the sheriff on the E911 fund, and then there are some communication surcharge dollars as well. So hopefully trying to get it funded, but not from the general fund.
But this is the kind of commitment already made through
Yes,
the
yeah,
contract, so we
commitment's
have
already
to
there,
find the money for, yeah.
Yeah, this is the consoles that we just took to the board in a month or so,
Yeah.
2 months ago.
All right, A management.
Corey, yeah.
I'm with you.
Oh, nice.
There is a, well, it's kind of between you and Dan both, the
Yes.
Summer Haven Managed Retreat.
What's the county?
Is that the demo?
Contour mapping, that's for the future.
Yes, it's done every 6 or so years. Okay, and yeah, it's just lining up to be the next cycle of it.
And that is a contract, or is that a equipment?
I'm sorry.
It's a contour mapping?
That's a cycle, that's light detection and ranging. So as I've said before, the county, a lot of dirt gets moved and our mapping is kind of based on elevations, your storm surge, your preliminary engineering and transportation studies. So that's the way to recalibrate all of that. It kind of has to be done, and it coincides with our aerial imagery that we get every year.
But that's like a contractor goes out there. and does
Yes,
imaging? Okay.
Correct.
And this is funded through TTF because we use it through our stormwater modeling efforts and other areas of review.
Okay. Manager retreat.
Yeah, so the next one for 500,000. So I think everybody's aware we've land management has purchased a number of properties in that Summer Haven area. I think we are up to 5 or 6.
Four have structures on them.
4 have structures. So the structures are abandoned, but they need to at some point go away. And so the grant does not fund the demo of these structures.
Okay.
So that is what this number, I can tell you, this is not a hard number. And because again, given where the properties are located, it's more about logistics.
Yeah.
But if it was in the, in the middle of this area here, it'd be quick and cheap. The problem is it's not quick,
Yeah.
therefore it won't be cheap.
Yeah.
So,
So this is a demolition program.
this is a demolition. So we are tentatively scheduled to meet next week with a smaller group because we may have the opportunity to come up with, a demo program that is scalable to other things that we currently do not have in place. This is a standalone, but again, that conversation is going to center around how do we want to move forward with removing these properties.
Is there any fire training opportunities?
I spoke with Chief McGee yesterday while he was on vacation. He did take my call, which made me feel very good. And for training, and it was very educational for me. Just short answer is no.
What?
It is an environmental issue for them. So again, given the location, but that question was asked.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So explore.
I think it's what happens with materials that are burned and or things that are existing in the structure that might be affected if you burn them.
We need to your sheriff's doing.
Right.
You can do anything in here?
All right, so 500,000 is probably on the lower end if you have to include it. Okay. The one? What's the level? What's the higher? Can we wait?
Well,
Does the grant require us to demolish and put the property into conservation, or is it?
There are some deed restrictions to the county purchasing and owning that property, and it does have to go into conservation. We're still in the middle of the program, so, we could add another structure. We're not sure what that stopping point is. Like Dan mentioned earlier, we're up to 14 that we've acquired thus far. It's been very positive. So we really don't really know yet.
I will add, we have carrying costs on these. It's not necessarily from the maintenance side. We have secured and posted, but we are keeping insurance on these properties as well. So there is cost associated, and there is, there's always going to be the possibility of vandalism. So this is not going to happen before this upcoming hurricane season. So again, we reevaluate after the hurricane season, but I just want to make it known that there is carrying cost to these properties.
I think before there was a conversation about the risk of the facility or the structures being there, and while we post and secure as much as we can, they're accessible. Or people will be, resourceful in accessing them.
Traffic nuisance.
Okay, what's the number?
Well, I think it should be a 1, and then, yeah.
And that's general fund.
Yeah, as of right now, general fund, it's a grant for that number.
North Parks, oh no, what's that? No, this is not Parks.
This is Parks and Recreation. So, and I'll note just kind of before we get into the, all the projects, from a funding perspective, not necessarily a project perspective, we would like to see more reserves in parks impact fee zone A, zone B, and tourist development in category 3. So like, that's more of the funding side of it, not necessarily project or priority.
The park improvements, that is future. This is, we've already done a master plan on the site, just as that park impact fee dollars start to generate. That would be something we look to utilize. That zone is not creating near the amount of dollars to do a project like that. But it's anticipated that when it does come on the road, we'll be able to move forward with that.
What's the improvements that is anticipated?
It's solidifying a football field at the site, creating better parking at the site. And those are the 2 I remember offhand.
But it's a future year.
Yeah, we went through and did a master plan previously that was funded. We had that master plan and cost estimates that came from that.
Okay.
Bishop Estates is a combination master plan and creating some access for kayaking and parking at the site. That is the property that was recently purchased by Lamp. And with the master plan, you would be able to have some early cost estimates and concepts to be able to go and pursue grants with. This is impact fee zone A, which is tight. So I would say the challenges here, I guess, and I would say a 2, but it depends on the direction from the board. It's one of those things that we just recently purchased it. And, what's the goal of getting it to become an asset in that time frame?
And this is the parcel across from the Bailey.
Waterfront property, yes.
Okay. And is there any safety concerns in terms of, we did the stabilization last year, right?
Oh, we've already gone in and secured the site, the demo complete or?
Yeah, no, it's complete. Yes, Joe, we removed some, the main residence has been removed.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is still a structure left on there, and we plan to leave that structure. So, up to this point, I think we are at end of A phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is to develop facility for kayak launch and things like that?
Correct.
Okay. So how do you prioritize that?
I mean, the priority component of it probably would go to a 2, just because I'm looking at where we're getting dollars in zone A to do other things.
Okay.
Well, and if we're talking this similar to how we talked on previous projects, if it's a master plan, you're not looking at construction for at least another year.
Okay, so it's safe to say potentially
You don't know what
28,
that cost is.
28, something like that. Okay. All right. Dredging program, countywide dredging.
Countywide dredging program is consistent every year. We utilize that for
I'm
master.
sorry, I skipped a one. Collier Walker. Oh, that's a future.
That's a huge as well. That's very similar to Alwoki. You already have a master plan in place. It's something we would eventually go out and pursue grant funding down the road. We would do, there's a refresh of that park.
Okay.
Countywide dredging, we utilize, that's in place every year. We utilize that for a fine grant match as well. Next one on the docket is Volano for fiscal year 27. It's been a very successful program for us to keep up with it. And we utilize that between multiple different programs. And we just kind of rotate around. We do an annual survey of all the boat ramps and evaluate which ones we do.
Do we have a cost estimate or volume estimate?
We're at about $750,000 cost estimate for Volano.
750.
Yes.
Okay.
And the priority?
One.
You're planning on doing Milano in 27,
Yes.
and the funding is 500, but you're estimating 750,
It's 250 in other budget lines.
not in dredging.
Yes.
Okay.
And that grant is, y'all have asked for it, or we have it?
We do not have it. We have a.
It's in progress,
yes,
right?
correct. Yes,
And that's a fine grant?
yes. The countywide entry corridors is something we use to manage a lot of our SCT sites, to remove invasives and put in new plantings in those sites. And so that's been, this past year, we just did Hatchie as a site, and
Are we using tree bank funds?
yes.
Do we have enough funds in there?
Yeah, currently, there are enough. It depends because it's not we don't know when we're gonna get revenues in the tree bank, so but currently there are.
Well, let's talk about, this is a one, so this is funded tree bank. Let's talk about next one. That's the biggest one for parks.
It is. So this, right now, we are proposing a 3-year program. So the 12 million in total would cover roughly 20 parks that have antiquated, outdated Musco lighting is the county standard for sports lighting. These would be either non-Musco lights, or they would be Musco that is out of warranty. So this is a program over 3 years. We currently, just for context, the maintenance of the sports lighting poles within facilities, our request this year, the maintenance cost has been going up substantially over the years. We are asking for $450,000 this year in our operating budget, just to basically keep us at a baseline. So we're not improving the process. I will say with the Musco, with this ask and this request, it's a 25-year warranty. It's not runtime, it's 25 years. So our objective, and we've worked a lot with parks in unison, this basically gets us out of the sports lighting business for 25 years. So to us, there is a return on investment. Right now, that break-even point is about 14.5 years. With the reduction of our maintenance costs, you add in opportunity costs for us to be working on other items. Utility cost is the big reduction in this. That it is a substantial reduction in cost of utilities to run these lights. It gives Ryan's crew the ability to remotely schedule lighting at any point. In conjunction with this, there will be parts of the lighting that will actually be on timers. We won't run it unless the court, pickleball court, racquetball courts, any kind of court, will only run as the courts are being used.
Themselves.
Yeah, whatever.
What's the young court? What kind of court?
No, racquetball courts are.
Racquetball.
It was the time.
As I wear my two spots. So, thank you for that, Ryan. So, you can make this a full spot. So there is a lot of upside. It does go kind of the overarching theme. You know, we have existing infrastructure.
Mhm.
And I know it's nice, we get the shiny new things. But again, we have existing infrastructure that needs to be looked at as well. We're doing it with obviously the existing fire stations. You know, we are going into the final year of that 3 years plan as well. This falls in that same category. So I can only imagine some of the calls that, you know, Ryan's team gets for sports lighting. So it is, again, those costs are going to continue to go up. And, you know, we are kind of kicking the can down the road.
Wasn't there a conversation before about possibly making it 4 years instead of 3?
Yeah.
And like looking at the parks and how we would kind of time those?
Yep, yeah, so that is on the table as well.
Okay.
I thought that there was some reduction in saving if we expand out longer terms. Did we do, well, is that more increase, like?
Well, I mean, well, it's twofold. Obviously, our warranties also are staggered, which is not the worst thing.
Okay.
It really comes down to funding. You know, what are we, you know, we do have the flexibility. Listen, if it's, whether it's 3 or 4, if we have the opportunity to upgrade these lights, it's a win.
Okay.
You know, so we just have to start somewhere.
Yeah, so if we go 3 years versus 4 years, the benefit of that is just enhance the reliability of the programming?
It is, but keep in mind, we do have a reduction of operational expense as well.
Cost saving, okay.
Facilities maintenance.
Yeah,
Aside from facility maintenance.
Yeah, selfishly, in our department, our operational costs would go down.
Okay.
George, just to add on a couple things. One, kudos to the team. We worked closely. We went through multiple options, looked at Siemens coming in for energy savings, looked at ESCO options, went through, did a lot of different alternatives, ultimately came back to just going straight to Musco for it, knowing we would see the energy savings, but not just banking on that. And a couple things, in addition, January of 25, we had 300 bulbs out across countywide. Examples, Veterans Turf Field had 9 out, Trees Park as a whole had 47 out. They came in, did their full repairs, got everything up and running. By October of 25, we had 278 bulbs out. Veterans Turf had 11 out in that field. Treaty had 75 out. And so it's like, as soon as they come in and they do the repairs, they're burning themselves right out again. It's just the aging infrastructure.
Yeah.
The halogen lights. So a lot of benefits. In addition, the new LED lights really don't do the light bleed, light up the entire community. It keeps the light on the ball fields. And so a lot better neighbor for everybody that's surrounding the parks. We don't get into the component of what does Veterans Turf look like when we have more than 11 lights out? When do we get to the tipping point that we have to say no more play at night? So we're not there yet, but we're starting to approach that component. And then just knowing as a department, I think we know there's going to be some give in here on other items. So there's other items that will be up here or things that are regularly in our budget that we might be looking for a 3 or 4 year give that tries to bring back some of that element number, that things that are happening, whether in our park connects, our repair and replace program components. I think there's areas for us to discuss that are normally budgeted that this would benefits would outweigh that.
Just to be transparent, the one call out of thousands of calls your staff get from me was against my will. I didn't want to call. I was my coach, yeah, I was the only one cheering on the field, like, let's go. So we're done, finally, I'm done. 8:30. Yeah, so we'll talk about the parks maximization, but do you guys have a preference, 3 years, 4 years, or this is just strictly on the availability of funding?
I think that's the latter. I think it should be on the availability of funding.
Okay,
I mean,
what's the priority number?
I think it's a 1.
1, I will be the 1.
I think it's like 1, but if you need $1 million,
Yeah.
you can push that.
The one with the
forward.
funding
It's
can
still
be shifted,
improvement.
right? Yeah. Is it a 12 million program? Because I do see 10 million in future. Is that a holdover from a prior
it may
request?
be, it may be.
It's just 12 million?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's no 10 in
Right.
addition to, oh, that helps.
It wasn't funded any short of that.
So I heard that Ryan's already trading off the maximization for the lights, so that's a 3.
So, to me, one thing I'd like to speak on is we'd like to keep that fund operational and an element, a small amount in it for us to be able to do things as they come along, and this really refreshes, and it just does keep the element of the understanding that when this comes off, when the lights come back offline, that would be something that would be
Yeah.
really beneficial to this department.
Yeah. I know you also have a repair replacement program countywide, which is in the category of preserving and protecting, and that needs to stay in place so we can repair things as we go. The maximization, my understanding, is a more enhancing of the features, adding more features.
Yeah, a
and
prime example is the
Facilities.
veterans, pickleball courts.
Yeah.
We took over a basketball court and made them pickleball courts because of enhancing that parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll remove 750 annually, but doesn't remove your ability to present additional pickleball courts or racquetball courts for Dan in the future years if it's needed.
Thank you, Joy.
All right, well, that's nice. It's 10:30. Do we want to, can we finish the parks at least? Let's see. Oh. We may have to, so we have a planned directors meeting next Friday. That's the only time I think that we're getting to, so I mean, most of the directors are here. The plan was really to, by then, we will have finished everything and we can sort of do a wrap up. But if we have to, we can replace the directors meeting to continue this CIP, because we already had the 10 to 11 and the 11th. I mean, we spent an hour on 2, 3 departments. And we have way more. And Neil's hasn't even started yet.
There's 0 minutes on that.
So next Wednesday,
Everything is
we
a
have
one on
infrastructure already
Yeah, so we
planned,
can use that.
if you want to use that time.
Yeah, let's do that. Because I think, Dr. Aston has already
what he
gone.
said.
We already have a IDT meeting next Thursday, Wednesday?
It's Wednesday, the
yeah.
27th.
All right, well,
Utilize that.
so we're gonna try Wednesday and then Friday. Okay, yeah. But if we don't get to the wrap up by next Friday, we don't need to have a director's meeting. We'll have a director meeting. The purpose of it really is to wrap it us up and then talk about how we're gonna proceed with the recommendation, but we still have a month or so to have that conversation.
Is it possible to share this spreadsheet with the departments? I know it's not a read-only component.
Sure.
So we know what's coming.
Yeah, you can change it all you want, you're still gonna use mine. Real smooth.
It doesn't have to be read only, because we don't take feedback. More edits. You can go edit all day long. You come back with the rainbow color. I think we can share that up to this point, but if there's more edits to be had, we can also share at the end, once we're done with the determines of all the ranking with the 1 through 3 assignments. All right, well, thank you, guys. Sorry that we didn't get to, when are you planning our parking?